Comedy legend Louis Black is bringing Goodbye Yeller Brick Road, the final tour, to Steelhouse on Sunday, February 25th. Tickets go on sale Friday, November 17th at 10 a.m. Get yours at steelhouseomaha.com.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Hey, it's Storyworthy. Today on the show, filmmaker and author Linda Palmer talks about the process of making Halloween Party.
We shoot our 10 nights and we go and we edit, and we always plan what's going to happen. We take about 3 minutes off edit, and we did this and it was a 45-minute cut. Now, back to that length of the script, it's like 100, 120 pages. That would be at least 100 to 120 minutes. Many times when you're doing an edit, it's longer and you have to cut it down. You have to cut down. You have to keep cutting, right? We had 45 minutes. Mark's like, how long is the movie? I'm like, it's probably going to be like 80, 85 minutes. He's like, that's like another 35 to 40 pages. He goes, where are we going to get this? Because we just shot for 10 nights. And I guarantee you, he did not think he could even handle another 10 nights.
Today on the show, filmmaker and author Linda Palmer talks about the making of the film Halloween Party. Stay close.
Hey, it's Linda Palmer, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show of over 13 years, or you're a brand new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the show last week with comedian Matt Knudsen. Matt is such a wonderful person, and he was talking about being on the show Shrinking with Harrison Ford and Jason Segel. And, you know, it's just one of those nice, happy stories. You don't get a lot of those in Los Angeles, but that was a great story. He got a wonderful role on Shrinking, and Matt Knudsen could not be more deserving. So go back, you guys. Listen to Matt Knudsen last week talking about a dream come true. But not today, you guys. Stick with me now, because today I'm here with award-winning producer and filmmaker and now an author, Linda Palmer. And I know Linda's not a comedian, okay? I know that. I get it. You don't have to tell me. I know. However, she's very funny. I will say that. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Christine. Thank you for that nice welcome.
I'm so glad you're here today.
I may have to work on being funny.
Well, what I love about you, Linda, you are funny. What I love about you, and I've known you for a long time, is that you are extremely persistent. You're a hard worker, and you've just kind of always done it on your own. It almost, you know, that's kind of evident even in the name of your production company, Runaway Productions. Runaway Productions, what did that mean?
You mean, why did I call it Runaway Productions?
Yeah, what is Runaway Productions?
For those that haven't been to my website yet, the story's there, but and maybe this isn't for kids. I ran away when I was 15 years old, and that kind of changed the course of my life. And
you ran away from home.
And because
now, how does that work? No, seriously. At 15, what does that look like?
Hitchhiking. It happened 2 times in the summer before I ended up living with my friend's family who took me in, which was literally what changed my life, the trajectory. So that's why I call it Runaway Productions, because it's just, that was a time I took charge at 15. But literally, like, my first friend had just moved to this school the time I ran away, and I met her. We knew each other for a very short period of time, maybe 3 months. She had run away multiple times, and she basically had a plan. And so that was more planned out, but I freaked out like a day after we left, because went from Washington to California. And I was going to miss.
Wait, two 15-year-olds went from Washington State to California. How did that happen?
Hitchhiking.
Really?
Yeah. This was in the early 80s, 79, 80.
So hitchhiking was more prevalent back then, to be clear. I mean, I remember hitchhiking a lot in Colorado when I lived there in the mid 80s. I didn't have a car and I would hitchhike. It was it was more common then. I mean, now you'd never even consider that. But like, who was picking up these two young girls?
Well, like I said, my friend was very seasoned in this whole runaway situation.
Why? Why? How long had she
We
been
had
out?
well, she had been running away. She had run away like, I don't know how many times, but several. And so she was a bad influence. Let's just call her a bad influence. But she knew like how to prepare. So she had like a knife on her. She had some money. She had her story. So she told her parents that she was staying at my house for the weekend. And I told my parents I was staying at her house. So we had like a head start. But yeah, so she's like, you got to get rides with truckers. Truckers go long distance.
Oh my God. I mean, it's just so bold. What were you running away from?
Oh, at the time, my mom had moved. I'm from my mom and dad divorced, and I went to many schools. My mom tried to make it, but she had like 3 jobs, and she was never around. And so, by the time I was a freshman, which is when this happened, I had been to 15 different schools. So do the math.
Oh my
I'm
God.
moving 3 times a year.
That is so upsetting. Wait a second.
Yeah, and hello, it was me.
Are you an only child?
Huh?
Are you an only child?
No, I have 2 brothers. One of them's passed away, but one other surviving brother.
What were they up to at the time?
Well, they were younger. Mm-hmm. So, they had each other. They were a year apart.
Mm-hmm.
I was 3 years older than the youngest and a year older than my next sibling, Dave. And so, we weren't that close. They had each other, and I was kind of I was a girl.
So what happened then? Did you go home? When did you go home? I mean,
yeah, so it took us a day to get down there. I freaked out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this in the middle of school year. I have to finish school. I'm going to be a dropout. I'm going to have to repeat like 9th grade, which I didn't want to do. And so I turned around and I got a ride back all the way to Tacoma, Washington from where I was at in Lodi, California. And the guy dropped me off just down the street from my house.
Oh my God.
And he was really nice. I mean, he was an older guy, and he was just like, first I want you to call your mom, let her know that you're coming home. And so he was very responsible. Again,
my God.
don't know that this is an appropriate story.
No, it's an amazing story. No, Linda, this says so much about you, really. This kind of resilience. This is unbelievable. At 15 years old, you had the tenacity to just pick up and leave.
Okay, that was not, I got talked into it.
Yeah.
But the second time, I ran away with my cousin. This was in a summer, okay? And so we had gone to Point Defiance. We stayed out way too late. Her mom had to work. My mom had to work. They worked at the same place. They were bartenders or waitresses or whatever. And so we knew we were in total, really big trouble because we watched our brothers and sisters. And so we knew we were going to just, it's going to be horrible. So I'm like, well, we should just run away. She's like, well, you have experience. I'm like, okay, now you have to know we were at, like I said, Point Defiance, and we had gone around this point and the water came up. So we couldn't get back around, which is why we were so late.
Wait, what water? What water? What?
So it's a point. It's like at a, I don't know how to describe a point. It's like in a bay, and
yeah.
the point of the park, right?
Yeah.
And so we walked around the edge, and the water came up, and we couldn't get back around. So we tried walking through the water. So we got all wet, and then we were like, we knew we couldn't make it, so we went up and over. We were really late.
You were foiled by high tide.
High tide ruined it. But yeah, we were on the way home on a bus going, oh my God, we're in so much trouble. And we were like, that's it. We should just run away. Oh. So mind you, we're wet. We have nothing with us, no money, no weapons, no excuses. Yeah, that was not the best time to run away.
And then how long were you gone that time?
Oh, my cousin and I, we did make it to California. You might ask yourself, why are you going to California? And at the time, my dad lived down there. And I just wanted and I knew he lived in the same place. And I just wanted something solid and secure, right? So I was going to run away and go stay with him. And my cousin was just going to run away and hopefully come live with us. You love the way we surprise our parents.
Yeah, this is such a solid plan.
I haven't talked to you, Dad, in like, I don't know how many years, but I'm going to live with you. Anyway, so, and our mom used to always tell us the most horrible stories about our dad, probably so we wouldn't want to go there.
Right.
Anyway, so we had gone there. Well, we had gone to, I think we got to Davis, met a couple of guys that were like probably 19. They gave us a ride. And then they saw us later and they're like, where are you got girls going? And then one of them took us to his mom's house.
Wow.
And yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. I mixed up my stories. That was the first girl. Anyway, my cousin and I, we did hang out with these guys, and then we ended up getting caught by the police, and they put us in a runaway shelter, and then I ran away from there.
Oh my God.
It was a summer of running away. So then they found my dad. Real quick story. They found my dad in Colorado. He had left, didn't know it. And then they sent me there. And then I was there for like 2 or 3 days. And then I decided this wasn't going to work. And I ran away from Colorado back to California because I wanted to stay in the runaway shelter.
Oh my God. How do you run away from a runaway shelter? Don't they have precautions in place?
Obviously not good ones.
Wow. So were you angry? Were you an angry teenager, obviously?
Well, I just wanted to have control. I felt like I didn't have any control.
Yeah.
Because my mom was always moving. Sure. And, I blamed her at the time, but I don't blame her anymore. I mean, you've met my mom.
Yeah.
She lived with us for a long time, and she, so I don't blame her anymore. I understand more as an adult, like how hard it was for her. But at the time, as a kid, you don't understand. You're like, why can't you stay in one place?
Yeah, I know, but it's still not an excuse for your mom to essentially abandon you when you were a kid.
Well, she didn't really abandon me. Like, she wanted me to come home, but I knew if I had gone home, I probably wouldn't have made it. And what I end up telling her is, I'm like, look, you can make me come back to the house, come back home, but I'm not going to stay. I'm going to keep running away. And someday you're going to get a call that they found me dead in a ditch or something.
Jesus Christ.
So, what do you want to do? Do you want me to live with my friend's family who said that they would take me in, and then I have to visit you every now and then? Or do you want to like force me to come home and have to live with that?
Wow.
So, I think it's a control thing. When things are spiraling, I just wanted it to stop.
You are lucky you didn't end up in a shallow grave, honestly. Right. I mean, you're the person they searched for.
Out then. Ted Bundy was out there. That whole situation was happening.
But also, so was Scientology. I mean, so are a lot of cults.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that was the kind of person they look for. Vulnerable, alone, confused.
Exactly.
Holy cow, are you lucky you survived all that?
Yeah.
When did you name it Runaway Productions? Like you were in your 30s and you thought, okay, I'm going to start this production company. I'm going to name it. How did that happen?
Well, I just was looking for a name that meant something to me. Mm-hmm. And I kind of thought of that. It wasn't the best name though.
because it sounds like Runaway Production.
Runaway Productions. And it's runawayproductions.tv if you want to check out my work. But at the time that I named it Runaway Productions, we were doing commercials at the time. And so I named it that. And within a couple of years, you'll recognize this. There was all this stuff about runaway production, about productions leaving California and going to Canada or other countries.
Anywhere to do non-union work. Go to Romania.
Exactly. Not even non-union, just leaving California or leaving the States because of the incentives, right? Because it was too expensive.
That's right.
And
tax incentives.
Runaway production. So people would ask me, "Oh, are you one of those runaway productions?"
Well, no, that's exactly what I thought too. It is, but It is from your past, and runawayproductions.tv is an excellent website, Linda. I'm telling you, that website is put together so well, and it really highlights you in the best way possible. Now, what I'm so thrilled about is your newest book. You just wrote a book, which really summarizes all of your experience. It's called Shooting for the Stars, and it's a yellow cover, which I like. It stands out right away.
It's like yours.
Yeah, mine was a yellow cover.
Subconsciously, I was influenced by your book. And I'll tell you why. Because they say when you're marketing, and you probably know this too, whether it's a movie, a book, whatever, go and look at the competition.
Always.
Right? See what else is out there.
Always.
And try and make your product or movie, book, whatever, stand out.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I knew this from marketing, even when I was in sales and marketing for like 30 years. So
wow.
A long time. Anyway, so I knew that yellow and red are strong colors.
Right.
Right. So first of all, I hired a graphic designer. He gave me several different choices, and I really loved that choice just because I knew it was going to stand out. It was going to be bright. And also, one of the things I really wanted the book to do is I wanted it to be inspirational. I wanted it to inspire people. And I think that yellow is a hopeful color.
It is.
You know?
It is. It's also a healing color is what it is. If you've ever been ill, then you paint and you put yellow around you to brighten you up. It's true. Oh. And so the book is a step-by-step process on producing in a very easy to read. It is easy because you've cut it up into these chapters, and it's an inspirational story about perseverance while navigating and delivering multiple projects. When you say delivering projects, what does that mean?
Well, what it is I started doing this. We go back as far as my producing career. I did one movie before I met you.
Wow.
So it's like you've been there watching me all these years. So
I know, but you've always seemed like the pro to me. You're a pro.
Well, thank you. So
you must have been faking it. You faked it till you make it or whatever.
There you go. I think a lot of it's sales and marketing. Like that really does a lot for you when you have that experience. Because first of all, in sales, you're trained not to listen to the no, right?
Yeah.
You got to get so many no's to get to a yes, right?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I do know that I am extremely persistent. And the other thing is, so it's the idea of this book is it's what I do every project, no matter what it is, a feature film, a short film, web series, whatever. And I do it every time. It's my process to get the film produced and done, delivered. And so I've done it over 25 times over the last 25 years. And I'm like, people always ask me, how do you get all these projects done? How do you raise all those money? How do you, so, so I just thought it's got to be valuable to somebody.
Oh, no, it is. It's such a wonderful book. It really is. It's short. It's concise. It's not short. I mean, it's a longer book. It's a good sized book. But I mean, the chapters are relatively short and give you just enough to know, okay, I see what special effects are about, or I see what it is to hire a makeup crew. And it gives you that really great outline of like who's at set first, who leaves last, what happens in between, and how important it is. The money is the shooting day, the production day.
It is, absolutely.
The work, there's work all throughout, but a lot of the work is pre-production, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, if you look at the book is like the majority of it is pre-production, development, pre-production. And then the production part is actually the shortest part of the book. And the reason that it's the shortest part of the book is because if you do everything else before then you don't have a lot of things to worry about on the day. I mean, yes, you have the daily things that you do, right? You have to put out call sheets. You have to, like, people show up and yes, this is what happens on a set during the day. This is, the basically kind of the order. And then also there is something that happens on films. Production is a highly creative part of it. Like, people get there and they're working together for these long days, and they're in tight quarters, and there's just a way that relationships happen. There's
Right.
a closeness of people and an enthusiasm and an energy that's not normally there. And so people do a lot. They can do a lot more in that time. And at the end of production, then it's like you need a breathing space. So that's the perfect part. That's a perfect thing to have post-production fall, because post-production is so much more calm and easy and less people. But the creativity, I feel like there's so much creativity packed in that production period, whether it's a day, 2 days, 10 days, 12 days, 25 days, whatever.
Right. It takes more than a village. It takes like a
Oh my
freaking
God.
city of people.
It does. It takes so much to put a film together, which is why, I mean, I say it all the time. Like, if you aren't good around people, if you're not going to listen to people and listen to what they can bring to it, if you can't collaborate and let them bring their talent to it, and you are always kind of trying to over manage everybody, that's not a good producer. A producer listens to people that are better than them, that know their craft, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you bring the best people you can bring in their craft to every project. And, you're going to develop a team of people that you want to take with you because they just show up for you. You can count on them.
Yeah.
But you're always going to be bringing new people too, because not everyone can work on the same film. So you have
They're not available. People aren't available.
Yeah, right. And then also, depending on whether if you're working on non-union or union, you kind of lose some people in that mix. You might lose some people from a low budget to a higher budget. But yeah, I mean, that's how you're going to like build your team over the years. And it's just, but I love production. But there's a mental thing about it, right?
Oh, there has to be. Yeah. And of course you want people to come back and work with you. So in the book, you talk about how you have to really give a lot of respect to the different departments. I mean, the makeup department, the hair department, the lighting department, you have to give them a lot of respect. You have to give them breaks. You have to pay them on time. You say that in the book several times, like pay them when you say you're going to pay them, because if you don't, you're screwing yourself.
Absolutely. Your reputation is all you have.
It sounds like such common sense, but you're talking about all these things coming together on one day. And then somebody shows up in the morning and the makeup artist had an accident on the freeway, or somebody gets a phone call and their mother passed away. And then all of a sudden the DP has to leave. And then all of a sudden a grip quits. I mean, all these things are going on. You're talking about bringing together 30 or 40 people just on the production side, and you're hoping and crossing your fingers they all have a good day.
Exactly. And that's the thing about producing. You have to have all of those scenarios in your mind, that's a possibility, it's going to happen. And what are you going to do when that happens? Who are you going to call? How are you going to change? If you're shooting something and suddenly like the weather changes for whatever reason, you should know ahead of time, but
you need to have an option.
Right. You need to have an option, because every day costs so much money. Every day costs so much money. And just because it doesn't work out, you still have to pay people.
Right. Of course. You even talk about how you have to pay for the makeup kit. Of course. Yeah. In other words, you're paying for the makeup girl or the makeup person to apply the makeup, but you got to pay for the makeup. You got to pay for the product.
Yeah. And it's not just makeup. It's like, and you would think, yeah, I can see that because they're using their makeup, right? But you have to pay ACs for their tape. For every time they tape off for people to stand places, you have to pay.
And AC is what?
Assistant camera. You have to pay, like, everybody has a kit fee. Everybody has a kit fee. Even my script supervisor these days have a kit fee. That's the person that, is taking all the notes and doing continuity.
And what would a kit fee be for a script supervisor?
I think a lot of that is their
printing,
their computer time, printing, things like that. But it's not a big kit fee. It's not a big kit fee, but It's something I've run across recently.
Yeah, it's of interest that all these people have to get paid. Well, it's an extraordinary process. And you know that my kid is a junior in high school, and they're in film school already. And it is amazing how much they've already accomplished.
That is so cool.
I think about all these filmmakers out there in the world who want to be filmmakers, and I'm thinking, oh my God, there's already kids in LA that are 16 and kind of finished film school.
Right.
Like, there are people that are already on it, and it is exciting. And I'm gonna have my kid read the book. Oh, I already finished it, so it's in their queue to read. I hope that they do, because it really is. It's a great overall view of filmmaking, what it takes from point A to actually have a finished product. I mean, you know, you talk about creating the posters, you talk about who gets what credits. I mean, there's so many pieces of the puzzle.
So many that you don't even know. Like, you know, when you and I started working together on the wedding video, and then on just before Halloween party, wedding video, I was just producing and designing. I didn't even know what Todd was doing in editing and like
I wish you had been directing.
Huh?
I wish you had been directing.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because Todd at the time had said, "You're a frustrated director."
Well, yeah, because the thing is Todd was not a good director. I'm sorry to say that, but he really wasn't. And had he had been more nuanced, it would have increased, I think, some people's performances, including mine.
Yeah, here's the thing about the style of directing that Todd did and the style of directing of some other directors. And it's not to say that Todd wasn't a good director. He was a specific kind of director. He directed for the edit. He is what they call a predator, a producer, editor, a producer, director, editor, predator, right?
I haven't heard that.
And so he's thinking ahead to the edit. And he also is getting basically like your master shots, and every now and then throwing in maybe a medium shot or, you know, whatever. And then a couple of inserts. And he's thinking very much about like how you need to get from one place to another. And that's a way of doing it for sure. But, you know, there's a lot of directors that never do anything like that. They never even do a master shot.
Wow. Whose responsibility is it for the look of the film? That's not the director, is it?
No, it is absolutely the director. So the director.
I thought it was the cinematographer.
Well, no. So basically, the producer who has the project. So it was me, right? And Todd essentially in wedding video. And look at me, but we have an idea what we want to do, right? So we talk about it, and as a director he has his input like in casting and that sort of thing, and he'll hire the DP or he'll hire the designer if there's a designer. But I took on the designing job because I love designing, right? That I production design as well. That's the thing I love to do the most out of all of this stuff I do, because you create a world, right? And you could take some people, they'll sit there and they'll go, "Oh, we'll shoot in this room. We'll go do this scene. We'll shoot in this room." Well, you know, the room's white. It's boring. It's not set up. It doesn't look good. You have to make it interesting. And also, why would you shoot in that room? What is it about that room that has anything to do with the character, right?
Right.
And maybe it shouldn't even be in a room. Maybe the person's like, you know, a hippie and like they're into nature. Maybe it should be shot outside.
Wow.
Maybe it should be in a cave. You know, you got to think of all these things. And so between the designer and the DP and the director, they're really going to develop the look of the film, the colors of the film, what that means. So that's kind of the team that focuses on the look.
It's so much. It's just so much.
Well, here's a perfect example. So Halloween Party was my first film that I did everything with my husband partner, Mark, and one of our good friends, Sandy, who was also a producer, who was part of the wedding video. And so we were good friends. We lived next to each other. And the point of that was me as the writer, director, producer, I pretty much knew what I wanted it to look like. I wanted it to be very visual, very vivid, almost like a Dick Tracy look of the film. I wanted it bright. I wanted the yellows and the fluorescent purples and stuff to pop, right? Because it's Halloween, and I wanted it to be fun. This wasn't a horror film, for those that don't know what Halloween Party is. It's about a girl looking for love on the most deceptive night of the year. And she goes to her friend's party, which you and Chris are the hosts of the party. But yeah, it's all in one location and it's highly improv. But, you know, all of the design I already knew. Now what I really wish I did, and it's a failure on Halloween Party's part, is I didn't color correct it. And every film after that, I went through the color correct process. And I should have done it. And if I ever release that film again, I am going to highly color it. It's going to be so stylized, it's going to look like a different film.
Okay, hang on. A lot of people aren't going to understand what color correction is. So you need to just explain that if you could.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we're going to get over to your story in just a second, which is about Halloween, which is coming up, of course. But just tell me about color correction so people understand what you're saying.
So color correction or color grading, there's two different parts of it. Color correction is actually changing the look of a camera so it actually is representative of what you want to see, right? So you might use two different cameras and they don't match. So you need to correct that color from those two cameras, right? That's color correct. Color grading is something that is really done. It's all done in post, but it's more of an artist rendering of the picture. And that's when you take something like, there's tons of films that are highly color graded, but when it has a specific look about it, maybe it's all like a muted look. Maybe it's a super bright look. Maybe it's like the main colors are, say, like a green and a red. And so they just pull those pieces out and they create things that pop. That's really a rendering by the artist. To give you an example, for other than Halloween Party being all super bright and saturated, my next film was a short film called Our Father, starring Michael Gross and Michael Worth. And it was about dementia and family caregivers. So it was a heavy, heavy subject.
Yeah,
right?
An amazing film, by the way. It was so strong. Thank you. God.
And it all takes place in a bathroom.
Right.
And it's funny. My daughter, my daughter, Brooklyn, she's like talking to her husband and she's telling him about these different films. And she goes, my mom is the queen of one location films. That's her thing. She does one location films. But anyway, Our Father is in this location. It's a bathroom. And I wanted it to look almost sick, like to have a sort of a green hue to it. So you didn't feel good about looking at it. You look like you were looking at someone that was getting sick, right? Wow. And so the design in the bathroom, which was Sandy's bathroom, very white, was very clinical. We wanted it to be very like they were in a doctor's office, right?
It was like that. It looked like they were in a hospital bathroom setting. Yeah.
And here's another design thing. So the caregivers, the father really abuses them, right? Mentally. And you don't see anything physical, although that's insinuated, it's happened. But because this mental abuse is happening, I wanted all of their clothing to be the colors of bruises. Ooh. So if you look at the clothing that the family's wearing, it's all varying shades of bruises.
Wow.
So you're not ever going to know that, right? But overall, as a filmmaker, yeah, I know it. I know why I did it. It was a family that was in a sick situation, and you see the abuse, not really understanding it. Now, if someone has suffered some sort of abuse, it would probably affect them a lot more.
Wow. That's exciting. That's a lot of background that most people never think of when they watch a film.
Yeah. So that's color grading. We gave it that sort of greenish hue.
The other thing with color correction, I know, is to make the blacks blacker and the whites whiter. Mm-hmm. That's a very big thing. I mean, there's 1,000 shades of black.
But that's also really the DP in the camera, like them choosing to have the right camera, the right frame, everything, so that they can actually get the blacks black and they can get the other colors to pop. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Like we're shooting a docuseries right now called Halloween Obsessed, and we shoot with different cameras. We shoot sometimes with a Blackmagic or with an iPhone. And so sometimes the camera doesn't look the same clearly from a Blackmagic to an iPhone.
Yeah.
So that has to be corrected. and that's color correction. Some people do it in Premiere, but you can also hire a colorist.
But why wouldn't you just do everything with a Blackmagic camera then?
Because you don't have access to several Blackmagics. Maybe cost is a reason.
You mean you're saying you have to have a couple at a time, or you're not? Why can't you use one camera, different angles?
Well, on an interview, it's kind of hard to recreate it. So you kind of want two different cameras on the interview.
So on each person and then a master?
Yeah, like a main shot is on the Blackmagic.
Or that's three cameras.
And then yes, sometimes. Sometimes we have three cameras. Most of the time we have two. So
it's a lot.
The interviews are, it's a lot.
Everything you're talking about, and we're going to get to your story in just a second. Everything you're talking about involves so much collaboration from so many people. I'm super happy I'm a comedian because it's just me, myself, and I. Being a stand-up is very much a solo
or a novelist.
Sport.
It's just a single person. If you don't want to deal with people, write a novel.
Solo sport, no doubt. All right. Listen, we're going to get over your story about Halloween in just a second. Yeah, because Halloween's coming up and people do get crazy about Halloween. So you did write this movie and produce this movie called Halloween Party. I happen to be in it. And it's about one night at a party. It's awfully entertaining. But before we get to your story, I wanted to remind everybody to head over to mylifein3songs.com and check out my podcast, My Life in 3 Songs. I am completely obsessed and passionate about this project. I talk to comedians about the 3 songs in their life that have impacted them. Not necessarily their favorite songs, but songs that really paint a picture of who that comedian is and where they're from. So check it out, you guys. I've had on some amazing people lately, like Wendy Liebman and Jimmy Pardo and Patton Oswalt. So please check it out, mylifein3songs.com. All right, you guys, she's here right now. You've heard her talking. It's award-winning producer Linda Palmer. She's a writer, director, producer, production designer, the founder of Runaway Productions, like we said. And she's also produced many movies and many shorts, including Our Father, like you mentioned, with Michael Gross, and also Halloween Party, which you're going to talk about, and The Wedding Video. And now you have a brand new book out, like we said, called Shooting for the Stars. You guys can get it on Amazon or head on over to runawayproductions.tv and you'll find a link there. All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for the very talented Linda Palmer.
So, this is an interesting thing. This is the first time that Mark and I were going to do a film together, right? And he wanted to be really supportive of me. And I had seen Anniversary Party.
I love
with
that
Jennifer
movie.
Jason Leigh, and it's a great movie, right? And I had also studied at the 2-day film school with W.S.S. Simmons, who's he worked for Roger Corman, and he does this 2-day film school where he teaches you the nuts and bolts of filmmaking in 2 days. And the big thing is you can control so much more and get so much more done if you do a one location shoot. So he probably influenced my career as a filmmaker. Because, like I told you earlier, my daughter calls me the queen of one location shoots. But anyway, so I wanted to do a film that was one location, like Anniversary Party. And I figured, we should do a party movie of some sort. What do we do? Birthday party, whatever. And we came up with Halloween Party because, first of all, we love Halloween. We got married on Halloween. I was a corpse bride. He was a corpse groom. But aside from that, that was later. We weren't married at this time. We had all the props. We had all the costumes. And in our house, you've been there, multi-level. It's a 5-level house. It goes
so
straight
you're
up.
saying a one location shoot, but within that one location, you've got 15 locations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And we used all of it. Every single bit of it we used. And so the idea, Mark and I talked about it, and he thought we were going to do a reality kind of thing where a camera follows someone around at a party.
Right.
I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I'm doing a narrative. I was like, I'm not doing reality. I want to do a real film. He's like, oh, okay, whatever. And he's like, are we going to have a script? And he didn't even know the word script. I'm like, I got to write a script. So I said, one thing I really want to do is I want to direct improv and specifically actors that specialize in that, because I think it's so amazing. And I'd never done that before. I'd done mostly commercial shoots. And so I was like, and those are highly planned and storyboarded, right? There is no room for
No,
creativity
when you do a
in
commercial, there's so much pre-production that is led into
Yeah.
you getting cast to do that commercial. You don't miss one word.
Right. And you don't miss one shot.
No.
It is all storyboarded. Whatever. Anyway, I wanted to work in improv. So anyway, we had this idea. The script came together inside of a couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months, which I will tell everyone right now, it says in my book, the number one thing to have a successful film is to get the best script possible.
Yeah.
If you start with a script that's not there, you are setting yourself up for failure. But anyway,
big time.
This is before that. I wanted to work with improv. I wanted to just make this party thing. But I have to say, also knowing, being a writer and knowing that what you should do for a script, and then Quentin Tarantino says this all the time, break the rules, right? If you know the rules, you can break the rules. So the number one thing for us was we never thought we were making this movie for a theater or just net standard distribution. That was never the plan. We always knew our film was going to have audiences from here throughout time that love Halloween that would find it.
Yeah.
It would be a cult film, right? And so we had a completely different way to market it, which was highly creative, by the way. Anyway, so we thought about the marketing way before the film. So anyway, with that being said, this is why I chose to do the story this way. So I basically put together like a 5-page idea of what I wanted to do. I brought in a writer that I'd worked with before on another film, and she kind of helped me outline it more, and we got it to about 20 pages. Her name's Betsy Morris. And then from there, I took the 20 pages and I expanded it to 50 pages, which is really more of like, okay, these are the characters that come in, this situation happens. And then because I wanted to give them a chance to improv it. So they would see that they're going to start here and they end there. However they get there is fine.
Wow.
Anyway, so then at the end of the 50 pages, we started, I brought Lorraine in, and Lorraine wrote some great scenes for the fortune teller, which we always knew we were going to shoot the fortune teller another time. So that's another part of it. We knew we were going to have 2 different production periods, a 10-night shoot, which hello, never ever shoot 10 nights in a row. I don't know what was wrong with that.
No. Tell us your thought process. It makes sense.
Okay. At the time, the reason I thought that 10 nights in a row would be best was because of equipment rental. That was just the wrong thought. I should have done some research, because actually you can get rentals that last over a weekend. So literally we should have gone 5 nights, taken a weekend off, and gone another 5 nights. That's what we should have done. It would have given everybody a lot more breathing space. Mm-hmm. And there were some things that were happening with it, like you talk about, sometimes people quit, sometimes things don't work out, sometimes
sure.
an actor loses a tooth, whatever.
Right. I lost my tooth on that film. I did.
Exactly.
I lost a laminate while we were on a lunch break, and it fell into a bowl of rice. And Mark Cardone, the other producer, he had to go through the rice and piece by piece to help me find my flipping tooth. And then I had to leave because you can't have the star with no tooth. That
is true. So you have to move things around. You have to be able to film something else, right?
Oh.
Like you just, and that's challenging because you don't necessarily have everyone there, right? You have to pick something that you have the people there to deal with that. So yeah, there was always things that happen. There is no film that's ever been made that goes exactly like they thought it was going to go, ever, never. Yeah. I highly challenge anyone to find one film where every single thing went according to plan. Never happens.
No way.
Never happens. So, and for exactly the reason you said, you have so many people in this village that you have to count on every day without fail. Doesn't work. There's always a fail. Anyway, so what we did was we got the script to 70 pages, and then we decided that we were ready to film.
Wait, a normal script is 120 pages?
Well, at the time, 100 to 120 pages. But if you looked at, say, like horror films or comedies, like slapstick or whatever, they'd be maybe 90 minutes. You know, if you had like 85 minutes was really kind of like the 85 minutes was, isn't it supposed to be longer? Like, aren't I supposed to be in the theater longer?
People are looking around like, is this over?
Yeah. Anyway, they can't sell as much popcorn. That's why they had longer films. Anyway, so yeah, it was a 70-page script. But again, that didn't bother me because I knew it was improv, and I knew it would be a lot longer than the 70 pages. It was 70 pages because it gave an outline of a scene for the actors to work and expand it, right?
Sure.
And so then the really beautiful creative process came together where, first of all, we have our host people. We know Ben and Julie.
The hosts of the party.
They have a backstory.
Right.
And they have a backstory. Julie's Christine and Ben is Chris Bencel. And they have a daughter that is like, never wants to come out of her room.
Right.
And so there's a storyline, right? But the thing was, every other character was whatever their costume was. So we had to figure out, how do any of these people know the hosts? Like, why are they there? Do you remember this? And we had you and Chris come over and had this dinner where you guys were like picking which friend was which. No, Jesus is my brother. Elvis is your brother.
That's right. That's right. Because you had all these amazing people in Halloween costumes, and you name the costume, you had it.
Yeah. And and literally that's why. And then we just had some that would be great, terrific costumes. But we were inspired by our own Halloween parties. Mm-hmm. And at one point there was one of our friends came as a stud finder.
What does it mean, a stud finder?
The tool, a stud finder. But she was a girl,
like a stud finder for the wall.
Right, exactly. But she's a high maintenance girl.
Right.
Anyway, she's looking for love on the most deceptive night of the year. Looking for love in all the wrong faces.
Right. So that's the plot of the movie. This girl comes and she's looking to get hooked. She's looking to hook up at the party.
Yeah. Exactly. So anyway, you guys pick your friends. We sort of make a little backstory for them. And then what we did was we did this brilliant thing that we love. We think it was the most amazing thing we did with the movie, where we had a little dinner party with you guys and the main characters, where they came over, and then you all thought about and developed your backstory. Like, how do you know each other? What else? How did you come together? Like, what's your history, right? And so everyone left, and they're like, all your friends are like, oh my God, we're going to steal this movie. It's going to be so great. And Mark's like, oh my God, it's going to be an amazing movie. Everyone's going to steal the movie. So, it's actors. They all want screen time. It's improv. Like, they were all so happy to be able to do this. So then, brilliant idea of mine, which didn't execute well, was we needed transitions, right? And this is the thing with directors. Directors have to think about transitions. Some of the best directors are directors that effortlessly move from scene to scene, and you don't even know, right?
Like who?
Because
who are your favorites?
Quentin Tarantino's one of my favorite directors ever, but he's literally like, the way a scene moves from one thing to another is very stylized.
Yeah.
And it's pre-thought out.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, that just doesn't happen. You think about it, right? So anyway, because it's a party movie, we needed party footage, right? So what I wanted to do is I wanted to use the upstairs rooftop deck to create for actors to go up there whenever they weren't in a scene and to just do little bits, right? And those would be some of the transitional moments from scene to scene. We just cut to someone else, right?
Yeah, it's super smart.
So yeah, I figured we'd probably get, it's actors. Actors go do stuff and they're going to love it. So I gave that job to Mark to kind of let people know, get him up there. He had a lot of hats he was wearing. He kind of forgot. We didn't have as many as we needed.
Poor Mark. He had no idea what he was getting into. He was
I
courting
have no
you.
idea.
If you guys weren't dating, he probably would have never even done any of this.
Well, yeah. At that time, we were living together, though.
Yeah, I know, but still, he wanted you as his wife. And he's thinking, I got to go through with this stuff because this lady ain't going to marry me.
I think, when you're living with somebody, he probably knew it was like, maybe he wanted to solidify that it might last longer.
He's the hero in the story. Let's be honest. Mark Cardone is the dark horse.
He does have a cameo. He's kind of a clown himself. So he wasn't the clown. There was a clown. But he's Mammo Guy, which resurrected one of his previous costumes from one of our parties, where he's dressed as a mammogram machine, and it says "place boobs here," and there's 2 openings.
Like right by his mouth.
And he's
That's
like
gross.
He's like the creepy guy
Yeah.
that no one wants to be around.
Right. Too funny.
So funny. Anyway, so back to the story about what worked and what didn't. So anyway, we shoot our 10 nights, and we go and we edit, and we always plan what's going to happen. We take about 3 minutes off edit, and we did this, and it was a 45-minute cut. Now, back to that length of the script, it's like 120 pages. That would be at least 100 to 120 minutes. Many times when you're doing an edit, it's longer, and you have to cut it down. You have to cut down. You have to keep cutting, right? We had 45 minutes. Mark's like, how long is the movie?
Oh my God.
Like, it's probably going to be like 80, 85 minutes. He's like, that's like another 35 to 40 pages.
Oh my gosh.
Where are we going to get this? Because we just shot for 10 nights.
Oh.
And I guarantee you, he did not think he could even handle another 10 nights. And I said, no, we're going to have probably at least 15 to 20 pages from the next shoot, the 3-day that we already planned. So that gets us up to about 60, 65. And then we haven't even used any of our B-roll. And that's when he's like, oh man, I screwed up. I didn't get enough B-roll with all this like transitional stuff. Anyway, so we hadn't even looked at that. And he's like stressing out. He knew he failed.
Stop it. He's not.
He's like,
you're the filmmaker. You don't say he failed. You're the one that didn't think of it or follow him up.
No, I definitely failed because I needed to make sure he was shooting.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
Getting people to shoot. He didn't know. But anyway, you know what? The cops are the stars next to you guys. The cops were up there and they were just going crazy. Mark half the time didn't even know. He would go show people how to work the camera, start and stop it. And then he never went back to it, right? So the cops just kept going up there and doing scenes.
And these are the actors that are dressed as policemen, of course.
They're dressed as cops, which, by the way, turned out to be a really good thing to have. And this is just a segue. We had these 2 guys dressed up as cops. And because we were shooting 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., 10 nights straight in the neighborhood, and cops would come by, some of our cops would be standing outside and the cops would go,
like, hey, how you doing? And they would think like, oh, they got it taken care of.
Yeah, we had cops on set.
That's amazing. That's so funny.
Anyway, yeah, but anyway, so then what happened, and you will remember this too, we did our additional shoot, but still wasn't enough. We had shot in July, and then we came back and we shot in, I think it was October, but still wasn't enough. And I was like, you know what? We have got to come up with at least 5 more minutes of stuff, right? And I'm like, maybe what we should do is have a Halloween party again, and invite all the cast, tell them to come in their costumes. And this is just going to be black and white footage for our Cecil B. DeMille character. So it's another transition that I can go to from Cecil's point of view of the party, right? And then one thing about the story is it's a voyeur party. Like Chris has put cameras, the Ben character just put cameras all over the house, on his dog, in the bath, everywhere. And so he's watching the party through all these cameras. There's a eyeball cam in a glass, there's a camera on his glasses. Like there's all these voyeur cameras, right? And so Cecil B. DeMille was one of Ben's friends, and they are like into the video thing, which is
Right.
why he has all these cameras. And so it sort of developed that storyline that way. But yeah, so everyone came back. We had this party. We hired Andrea's husband because he was a photographer, but he had done a lot of video. And so Andrea, who plays the wench, her husband came in and he filmed it. And so we used that for Cecil's footage.
It's just
And so it's
unbelievable.
85 minutes.
Yeah, how much you had to think about. So there was the pre-production and the production, and then you realize, shit, we don't have enough footage. So you got to go back in. It's just an amazing
Let's just say
journey.
there was nothing on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, Linda, you have just experienced and you have done so many things. You have so much to be proud of, and you continue to work. You continue to pump out these projects. If you guys head over to runawayproductions.tv, you'll see everything Linda's doing. Holy cow. And of course, follow Linda Palmer on social media.
You can get to all my social links on runawayproductions.tv. They're all there.
Yeah. Runawayproductions.tv. That's ground control of what you're doing. And you guys really consider getting the brand new book out right now called Shooting for the Stars. If you have any filmmakers in your life, this is the book. It's only like 10, 15 bucks, 20 bucks. It's not expensive. It's a short book. Well, it's not that short, but I mean, the chapters are concise and it makes it very easy reading. It makes it very like on a consumer level to understand filmmaking. So you guys can find that book, Shooting for the Stars, again, over at runawayproductions.tv. Linda, it's so great to catch up with you and to hear about the backstory behind some of these movies. And that was just one project. You've done over 25 projects.
Yeah. And what happened with that project. I have to share this because it's the most amazing thing. The music elevated that project insanely. And our opening title song was an Oscar contender. It's called Voodoo, written by C.J. Watson and Bruce Michael Miller. But anyway, it was an Oscar contender the year that Adele won for Skyfall.
Wow.
So for our song, from this little movie, that we did, this little home movie for the most part that we did, it was on a list of 75 songs that were in consideration.
Amazing. And the music for Halloween Party came about after the production, right?
Yes, absolutely.
How did you find CJ Price?
Okay, so what happened
CJ Watson. I'm sorry, what's his name?
Yeah, CJ Watson, yeah. What happened with CJ is Mark had gotten an email from Donna, our music supervisor, saying, hey, if you need music for your movie, let me know. And I think he maybe gave it to me. I can't remember. Anyway, we had put all these popular songs in our movie, and we thought about licensing them, but you can't license them. It would have been like $1 million or more to license what we put in our movie. So we had to replace it. So then we're looking for sound alikes, and that's why you have a music supervisor that basically sends you a lot of original music it has the feeling of some of these songs. And then we actually had Donna organize, because CJ was a partner of hers in music and singing. And so she had CJ and Brian Steele and several other artists write original songs. So 8 of our songs in the movie were written for the movie, including Voodoo, which is the opening title song.
So fortunate. And one more thing I wanted to mention. When I was working on Halloween Party with you, it was the first time I realized that when you're showing a party scene and people are in the living room or wherever and they're dancing, there is no music. They're not dancing to anything. So you'll see people dancing in different ways because there is no music, because they can't use the music. I mean, not that you can't use the music, but why is that? Why are we dancing with no sound?
Well, you're dancing with no sound because usually there is some sort of dialogue happening, and you can't have that music embedded in the dialogue because then you can't separate it. So, there's always a scene, but there's people dancing in the background like they're partying, right? Yeah. Because we always knew we were going to put the music in later. So, and that's a post-production thing. That's, your post-sound.
That's not easy for an actor. And I remember people yelling into the living room, dancing, you're dancing, it's a party, dance. And we're just like, there's nothing. Okay, we're moving. And you feel like an idiot because you're dancing to nothing.
It is hard, but you're an actor, that stuff happens. One of the things that I thought was really cool about it is in that when we had people come to our real Halloween party, and we were doing those moments, we gave each of the actors a moment, right, where we did film them doing something that Cecil caught, right? And so each person got to do this little thing. That was something that allowed them to make them want to come to the party. But then it's just a lot of our friends there. And that was what made it look like a big party, because you have scenes where actually there was music and people were dancing, but we just took that music out and then put our own music in, because there's no dialogue.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I see. Well, you and Mark are very generous. You feed everybody. You make a point of that in the book. In fact, in Shooting for the Stars, you talk about you have to feed people. You have to have water for people, and you have to pay them on time or they're not coming back.
You would be surprised. You'd be surprised at how many films. I say this all the time. This is one of the industries that is the lowest integrity industries out there. And it's because people take advantage.
Yeah.
They take advantage of people they have on set, and they'll work them for insane amounts of hours. I've heard of people working for 20 hours.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You can't do that to people. And you have to have food and stuff planned out. Like, so you have to have somebody's doing a coffee run. Somebody's coming along with a tray of cookies or something, because otherwise, like, picture yourself in that place. How would you like to be working with no food or snacks, or, you know what I mean? You can't do it.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that Mark really became everyone's friend, because he was concerned about people having enough food to eat, having stuff they wanted. He went around, it was so funny, went to like the grip guys and all the makeup tomorrow. And most people go to the stars and they're like, oh, what do you want? Right. But he went out to all of the crew and he's like, what kind of drinks do you like? Like, what do you want? Like, what kind of snacks do you want? And he went and he bought whatever they wanted.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Mark Cardone, I'm telling you, he's the dark horse.
Shout out to Mark Cardone.
He's behind all of our success.
None of this would happen.
If it wasn't for
Not
him,
even the book.
None of us would be successful. All right, you guys.
He's the man behind all of it.
We got to wrap this up.
Puppet master.
Again, check out runawayproductions.tv. What a treat. I'm so happy for you, Linda. You've accomplished so much. And now Shooting for the Stars, it's all the way it's supposed to be. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys, we got to wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really, I appreciate every single listener to Storyworthy. If you weren't here with me, I don't know what I would do. I mean, I've been doing this for 13 years, and it's because you're listening, and it's because you guys give me feedback, and I really appreciate it. All right, you guys, one more time on behalf of the very talented Linda Palmer, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
My name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
Right now, new and current customers can get any phone for free at US Cellular, so you can connect with all your family members this holiday season. You could even call your aunt, who always makes you talk to your cousin, who's a dog. Or, maybe just send her a festive text. Get the gift of connection at US Cellular. Get any phone free today. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
We value human connection with fewer distractions. US Cellular, built for us. Visit your US Cellular authorized agent, Cellular Advantage, located at 918 South Locust Street in Glenwood.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. Whether you're making a traditional roasted turkey or spicy turkey tacos, your go-to shrimp cocktail, or your first Cajun risotto, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace your traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Choose from a great selection of digital coupons and use them up to 5 times in one transaction. Check our app for details. Baker's, fresh for everyone.